What's up guys? So today we're going to be looking into the game animation sample, and I'm going to teach you how to add some simple overlays so that we can have different weapons and different animations. Okay, so I think the project is nice. It could be a little bit better if these problems weren't here, but I hope it gets fixed when the FURIK is implemented. So let's begin. The first thing we need is an animation to serve as our overlay. So let's go to characters, UFN, mannequin, animations, idle, and we're going to use this neutral stands idle to create an overlay animation. So here we're going to duplicate this one. We're going to change from neutral here to melee, okay? And we can open it up. Now we can pause this, move this here, and over here we're going to remove from frame 64 to 300 and do this multiple times like this until we get only one frame, okay? Like this. Now, next thing we're going to do is move the arm into a position so that we can hold weapons, okay? So over here on the skeleton tree, let's go to end har first over here. And we're going to rotate this minus 50 like this. Now let's go to the lower arm and rotate this only 10 like this. Now we're going to close the fingers on the hand, okay? So on index 1, we're going to rotate this minus 20, middle 1 will be 20, pinky 1 will be 20, ring 1 will be 20. Now index 2 will be 20, middle 2 will be 20, pinky 2 will be 20, and ring 2 will be 20. Okay, now the third finger, so index 3 will be 10, middle 3 will be 10, pinky 3 will be 10, and ring 3 will be 10. Okay, now we can click add a key, and as you can see, all those modifications were added to the animation. So this way, if we press play, the character will always be on that stance. Okay, so we can pause this, we can save this, and we can close this. So now that we have our animation, we're going to create the overlay system. So let's go to contents, blueprints, and over here we're going to create a new enumeration. So blueprints, enumeration, and call it e overlay states. Okay, open it up. We're going to add a new one, which will be the unarmed when we don't have a weapon, and another one which will be the melee when we have a melee weapon. And we can also add a few more, so like the pistol and the rifle. Okay, save, and that's it. Now we're going to go to our character, and on variables we're going to create new variable called overlay states. Okay, and here we're going to change this to e overlay states, the enumeration that we just created. So we can compile, and as you can see, now we have an option here to select our overlay state. Now what we need is to pass this variable to our animation blueprint so that we can switch between animations. So we can close this now. We can go to the animation blueprint, and first thing, let's go to the event graph. On this update animation, we're going to add a function here to get those variables. Okay, so here we're going to create a new function called get variables, and here we're going to say get sandbox character because we already have a reference for it, and from here we're going to say get overlay state, the variable that we just created. So this one we can promote to variable, and this way we know which overlay state the character is currently on. Okay, can move this here, compile, save. Now on the event graph over here, we're going to call the get variables function like this, and that's basically it. So now we need to go to the animation graph and apply the animation. So here on the animation graph, over here where we have the default slots, we're going to move this a little bit to the right, okay, like this. And now we're going to apply our overlays over here. So we're going to create an animation layer for that. So here we're going to add a new one and call it overlays, okay. Now this one, we're going to add an input pose to it like this. And here we're just going to say save cache pose and call it main pose so that we can use it on this animation layer, okay. Now next thing we're going to do is select an animation depending on the overlay state variable. So here we can say blends overlay states, and we're going to essentially blend based on the value of the enumeration. So if we click this on the active enum value, we're going to bind this to the overlay state. We're going to connect this over here, and if we compile, you can see now it says thread safe, and that's basically it. Now what we need is to right click over here and select the overlay that we want to use. So in this case, I'm going to use the melee one. And now I have a pin where I can connect my melee animation. Now, first thing is on the default pose, we're going to say main pose to use the main pose that we saved before as the default. And now here we're going to apply the melee animation. So to do that, we only want to apply the animation on the right arm, okay? So we're going to add a layer blend so that we can do that only on these two bones. So here we're going to say layered blends per bone, this one. Here on layer setup, we're going to add two bones, so 1, 2. The first one will be hands R, and the second one will be lower arm right, okay? So the bones that we modified over there. So now we can connect this to the melee pose. On the base pose, we are also going to use the main pose, okay, like this. And here we can connect the animation that we want to blend with the main pose, okay. So here we're going to search for melee, the animation that we created, like this. We're going to right click and convert to single frame animation so that we are only going to use the animation from frame 0. And this way we can connect this here, and that's basically it here, okay. So now we can go to the animation graph over here, and we can grab our layer that we created. And as you can see, now we'll be able to connect this over here, and we'll be applying our overlay state, okay. So we can comment this and say overlay state, okay. Compile save, and that's basically it. So if we go to our character now and go to the viewports, you'll see if I change this overlay state variable to melee, as you can see, now it is using the animation for the melee weapon. You can change it back, as you can see, to normal and to melee, as you can see. Now we're blending the animation. Now we're going to change this back to unarmed, okay. And the next thing we're going to do is a simple weapon system so that we can attach weapons to the hand, okay. So over here on the variables, we're going to create a new variable called weapons, okay. And this will be an actor, like this, soft class reference, okay. And here we're going to change this to map, and the second one will be a transform, okay. So compile save, and this way we'll have a list which will contain the actor that we want to attach to the hand, in this case a blueprint, and then the transformation where we want to position the blueprint. So now here on the mesh, we can add a new child actor, this one, and call it weapon. And essentially child actor allows us to use blueprints over here so that we can attach to the character. Now we'll be changing that blueprint dynamically through the code. Okay, so next thing is to attach this to the hand. So on the parent socket, we're going to search for and write, as you can see, and now this will be attached to the hand. And this way we only need to make a few modifications depending on the weapon to put it on the right position. That's basically it. Now here we're going to create a function that will allow us to equip the weapons. So here on functions, we're going to call set weapon or equip or whatever you want. Over here, the first input will be the overlay. So the overlay states that we want to apply. Okay. And here it will be E overlay states. Now, the second one will be an index, which will represent the current weapon that we want to equip. So index, and this will be integer. So for example, on the weapons list, right, this is organized by weapon 0, 1, 2, and 3. And this way we'll be able to specify a number of which weapon we want to equip. Now, next thing we need is to grab the weapons variable like this and say keys to get all the blueprints. And now from here, I'm going to say get. And from here, I'm going to say get index to get the index from the function inputs. Okay. Now I'm going to promote this into a local variable called weapon. Okay, so that we can use this inside this function. And then the next thing is get the transformation. So for that, we're going to get this weapons variable. We're going to say find, and essentially we're going to grab the weapon variable and connect over there. Okay, so we're going to find the weapon that we're trying to equip. Here we can say branch. Okay. And if this is true, we can promote the transformation into a local variable and call it position. Okay. And now we need to do all the rest, which is apply the overlay state and also change the weapon. Okay. So what we're going to do now first is essentially add a way to know which weapon we currently have equipped. So on variables, we're going to add a new one and call it active weapon. Okay. And here, since we use the weapons, we can change this to single here, and we're only going to use the actor soft object reference. Okay, so compile. And now over here, what we're going to do is grab this active weapon and say if this is not equal to the weapon that we are trying to equip. Okay, so now we can say branch like this. So if this is true, we're going to apply the overlay state and change the weapon. So we can grab the overlay state variable and say set, connect this here. The overlay will come from the function inputs. So we can say get overlay, this one. Okay. And now what we're going to do is load this weapon. So we can copy this over here and say load to load the blueprints. Okay. Now we're going to cast to actor class like this. And now we're going to grab the weapon and say set child actor class. And we're going to set the blueprints to the one that comes from the list. Now, next thing is to set the position. So we're going to grab this weapon thing and say set relative transform, this one. Okay. And the transformation will be the variable that we saved, the position over here. We can connect this here, and that's basically it. Okay. Now over here, if we have the same weapon, okay, we just want to unequip it. So this way we can press the same key and equip or unequip the weapon. So we're going to grab the overlay states and say set and set it to unarmed, which is the first one. Then what we're going to do is grab the active weapon and say set and set it to nothing. And then we can grab this set child actor class and also set it to nothing. Okay, that's basically it. So now last thing is over here, we have to set the active weapon like this to the current weapon that we are trying to equip, like this. Compile, save, and that's basically it. Now we can go to the event graph, and over here we can say one keyboards, this one, the key number 1. We're going to call the set weapon function, and we're going to select the melee overlay, and the weapon that we want is weapon 0. In this case, we don't have here weapons yet, so we can add a new one. And now we need a blueprint to attach to the hand. So we're going to download a weapon from the Quixel bridge. So over here, let's go to add Quixel content. Sorry, my computer is a little bit slow. Let's see if we can get there. Okay. So now here on the home, we're going to search for X, because I know there's some cool weapons over here. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to use this, the headsman X. You can see that the pivot of the weapon is like this, so the weapon will come like this. Okay, so you can see there's a few weapons that the pivot is laid down, so you don't want that. You want weapons where the pivot is up. Okay, so I already have this. I don't need to sign in. I can click here because I have this locally on my computer, and as you can see, we have this X. Now we can close all of this. We can go to content drawer. Over here, we're going to create a new folder and called weapons, so that we can save all those blueprints. Here, we're going to create a new blueprint class and call it actor, and we're going to call this BPX. Okay, open it up, and here we're going to add a new static mesh. Okay, here we're going to select the X. As you can see, it is over here. Now, important, under collision, we have to set this to no collision, okay, so that we don't interfere with this. And now we can close this. We can go to the weapons list that we have here on our character and select the BPX, okay? So compile and save. And now if we hit play and we press 1, you can see that we are applying the overlay state and attaching the weapon to the hand. Now it's not on the right position, so I'm going to show you how you can find these positions to apply to the list. So essentially on the weapon, if we go to viewport, we can set like the BPX as a preview so that we can find the positions. So as you can see, now if I click the mesh here, I can go to advance on animation and pause the animations, and this way I will have more precision. So I'm going to just change the camera speed a little bit, and on the X I'm going to move this down like this, and then like this, and then I'm going to change the grid size to 1, and I'm going to essentially position this like this. Okay, so now we're going to rotate this by 180 so that I can turn this like this, and that's basically it. So now we have the positions for our weapon, so we can just copy the location, okay, like this, go to the weapons list, and on the X just paste the location over there. Now click the weapon again, copy the rotation, go to weapons and paste the rotation. Okay, that's it. Now we can go to weapon and clear the blueprint from the hands. Now we can clear the positions. Now we can go to mesh and uncheck pause animations so that we can have animations again. Okay, so compile, save, and now if we hit play and press 1, as you can see, the weapon should be on the right position. We have this nice animation, And as you can see, if I try to vault, it just looks nice. There's no interference at all because we layered the arm on a good position where the weapon is essentially not interfering with the other animations. So if you want to hide the weapon, you can use an approach like ALS where whenever you vault or mental, they hid the weapon, they make it invisible, and then they put it visible back again. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something with this, and don't forget to subscribe.